Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we are here with Margie Newman Tsay, the founding partner of Intesa Communications. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what every day looks for you, because I know you have a lot of hats that you wear.
Oh, every day. I guess I own and operate a public relations, crisis communications, and government relations firm called Intesa, and every day looks different, and that's why we love it so much. Been doing it for almost 12 years now, and so people call us on their best and worst days. It's quite an honor to be on speed dial for some of the region's most trusted leaders and well-known leaders. They call you in a real state of vulnerability often, so every day can look a little different. To kind of need to run out of the room and find that private place to talk to someone when they're really at a crisis of confidence. And our job is to build them back up and help them communicate or advocate confidently. So every day that looks a little different. We're still a hybrid work environment. I don't know what your current work environment is like. Are you hybrid, or you go in every day?
Pretty much, you never know what you're going to get. I think kind of like you. Yeah. And so, yes, I mean, sometimes hybrid, sometimes in person. It really depends on the situation. A lot of phone calls, too. I think that, just communicating with people is important.
Are you still heavy on Zoom?
Yes and no. So maybe about 30 to 40%. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to our office needed to be in the middle of everything because people, if they see me coming to an office, usually people wonder what's wrong since I do so much crisis communications. Mm-hmm. So they would want to come to us, and now you just hop on a Zoom. So Zoom is still very much part of it, but I also live way out in Poway. So I'm in the car a lot. I do a lot of commuting because we have clients and volunteer work we do all over the county.
Well, talk about your volunteer work a little bit. You do a lot of that as well. Why don't you tell us what you do?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in volunteer work. I think it works a different part of your brain. I think it is really helpful for you to learn more about your community and maybe people outside of your exact work network when you volunteer. So I'm board chair of the YMCA of San Diego County. So following Bill Geppert, he was in before me. And I really, really enjoy that work. I've been on that board for about 6 years. I also do the Lead San Diego Board of Directors. I'm La Jolla Country Day Board of Trustees, and the Downtown San Diego Partnership Board. And really enjoy all of that work, getting, again, to kind of flex some different muscles. But often they also call me in times of crisis. Seems to go with the territory.
Well, unfortunately, yes. I mean, always work is connected to a lot of different things. All right, let's switch gears real quick. Why don't you tell us a childhood memory, something very cool that you just think, you know what, people might not know this about me.
I think the foundation of so much of what I do as an adult comes from being a theater kid. So grew up doing professional theater and professional radio. Those things really fueled a lot of the things that people go, how do you know how to do that? And things I try to teach other people how to do. Reading a teleprompter, confidence on stage, working a room, executive presence, taking direction well. Those things were ingrained in me as a child doing theater. Back home in Nashville, the accent for anyone who's trying to figure out is Nashville, not Texas. And when you grow up a theater kid, it really shapes your worldview and shapes how you work in teams, your ability to think on your feet. So I think the childhood memories of growing up in the theater are really precious to me as a human, and also really drive a lot of my success in my career.
Well, not everyone has that. And I think when you think about your job and what you're doing, a lot of people are very afraid of being on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is a spotlight on you. I personally am not super comfortable with it, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes. In fact, I think the first time I ever spoke publicly, I was shaking because I was so terrified of it. But it is, part of my job, so I deal with it. And, as time goes on, you become more comfortable with it. But yeah, I think that is the biggest fear that most people have, and it holds them back.
It does.
Yeah.
I think it's something I take for granted because since I was 5, I've been on a stage. Mm-hmm. And then I had to figure out, okay, what do I do to prepare myself? What could people do to prepare themselves so they're not quite as nervous? For me, it's practice. People will say, oh, it's fine, it's on the teleprompter, I'll just read it. No, you should practice with the prompter. You should know that script because you probably will lose your place on stage. And if you're familiar with your script, it won't be as scary. So there are things we can do to take that out. But I also love getting a little nervous. I mean, I think it's good that it means you care, right? Yeah. If you're never nervous and you don't, get it all a little anxious about getting on stage, you probably don't care much about what you're doing. So, I think a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of anxiety just helps you prepare for what if things go wrong? What if they do? What's the worst that could happen? Let's practice and let's prep for that.
Well, I think it makes you human too.
Yeah.
So, one word. Do you have one word that you think really describes who you are?
Confident.
That is exactly what I was thinking, honestly, as you were talking. That's so funny. Yeah, definitely confident.
Confident is I've built a whole business around it. And I think for women in particular, it's challenging. I've built an entire business around confidence. And for women, it's particularly challenging because we're told to fit in certain packages, and then we do that. The idea that we would break out of it, that's scary, so we don't. Maybe we tried it once, we were kind of smacked down. Maybe we see other women doing things we wish we had the confidence to do. We don't know if those women are confident, they're just out there doing it. Right. And the reason why we start with confidence when we work with leaders is because that gets to the very core. You can't lead out of fear. You can't be mayor of a city if you're afraid. You can't run your small business if you're afraid. You can't raise your children well and with courage if you're afraid. So confidence is the base of everything women do. So I am really honored that somehow I just had that extra dose of confidence in me. I've always had it. But I think that when I find I am not confident, it is me getting complacent. I think I'm a little, I might need to rethink my strategy here. If I'm not confident, it's probably because I'm not pushing myself enough. And I know that sounds odd, but I find I'm at my most confident when I'm really being pushed and stretched. And if things are kind of in a lull, that's when I start second guessing my confidence. But one word, if it was on my cape as a superpower, would definitely be confident.
Very cool. So how long have you been in this career, and when did you start the company?
Started the company in 2012. Okay. I've been doing communications since the day I graduated from Auburn University. What would that be, 2002? I started out in politics, so worked on a gubernatorial campaign in Nashville for then former mayor Phil Bredesen. He then became governor. So my very first professional job, besides the theater, was as a press aide in his communication shop in the governor's office. And being 21, having no business, doing that, I did it really well. And I think a big reason for that is I wasn't afraid to phone a friend, call past professors, call people I'd worked with before in internships and say, how do I do this? What do I do? Because I'm 21 and I'm being given all this responsibility. So yes, I'm a confident person, But I also have a really wonderful support village of mentors and networks, men and women, who have always taken the call.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think as a younger person, I remember when I was 21 and I was a branch secretary at a real estate office, and I had all of these agents that were in the office, almost 100 actually. It was a pretty big office. And I remember thinking, okay, the best way for me to figure out what my leadership style is to watch other people that are more mature than me,
right,
and learn from them and take away little pieces. And I've literally done that my entire career. I think it's really important to take little pieces of all the different people that you see as mentors that you appreciate and respect. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's one, for our listeners out there today, I think that if they just think about that one thing, it really does help shape who you are, but you should always do it in your own style, of course, in your own way. So let's talk a little bit about success, though. So how do you measure success for yourself?
Oh, just that you love and feel loved, and I think that's with your family, with your friends, with your network, with your volunteer opportunities, and also with your job. We have a culture we really protect at Intesa. There's 8 of us, and we believe in doing your very best work, working really hard, and then going home and seeing your family. We're not a 24/7 shop, and honestly, that will be some of the reason that maybe some clients don't go with us. They want to call somebody on a Sunday morning and talk about a PowerPoint. No, because I can't have people doing their very best work for you in crisis and opportunity if they haven't seen their kids in a week, or if they had to miss, their friend's wedding, or they haven't had a vacation in a year. They're not doing their best work for you. So we are very much, we want you to feel your best here. We want you to feel loved. We want you to love the work you do. And we want you as humans to go home and be recharged. And so success for me as a small business owner, when I started this company, just about everyone in town told me I would fail. They told me to call them when I was ready for a real job. I don't think they say that to men. They certainly say it to women. And
Agreed.
Agreed,
yes.
And it just fuels you.
Right.
Again, confidence. You're not going to tell me I'm not great because I know I'm great. So, it just fuels me. But I think about other women, if you don't have the support system, if you don't feel loved, if you don't love who you are and what you're putting out in the world, that kind of criticism or just backhanded, I don't really believe in you.
Dismissive, yeah.
Could stop you in your tracks. And so to me, success is that balance. And there is a lot of women who do not have children, are not seeking to have children. They deserve balance too. Balance is what is in your life that brings you joy, so you love and feel loved in every aspect of your life. And if you can do that, to me, that's success.
So you mentioned a little bit about some barriers as a woman. So what do you see as your largest barrier as a woman being in the job that you're doing? And I think, the whole dismissive part of it, is part of that. But what do you think really has been a stumbling block, or not necessarily a stumbling block, but could have been?
I think for me, starting a business in a town where you don't know anyone with a 5-month-old baby is probably not the best way to go about starting a business. And so it was hard for me with a young child in a town where I didn't know anyone, starting a business in a town that had enough PR firms, right? There's 1 million PR firms in town, and not having anyone who believed in me. Yeah. So there were like 2 people who said, yeah, I think you can do this. And so I think confidence for women will always be one of the biggest stumbling blocks. And I was grateful again that I have a good dose of it, because that's huge. Because when everything is stacked against you, do you still believe in yourself? And do you have people in your world who do? I think another one is just, for some reason, I cannot explain it, people inherently want to pay women less as a consultant or as an external vendor. And so the idea that you're having to defend your value a lot is a weird thing that women really need to hold tight to. My brain is highly valuable, highly valuable. The crisis communications things in my brain are highly valuable, and I won't go down on those prices, right? And I think that's where you have to, as a woman, again, comes back to confidence, believe in yourself when you put yourself in the market, because for some reason, people will want to pay you less when they find out you're women-owned.
That's pretty interesting. I had no idea. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the thing that no one wants to talk about.
Oh, then I want to talk about it.
Mean Girls. Mean Girls. What do you think about Mean Girls? I mean, I look around. I love to see other women. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't important to me.
That's right.
But, there are a lot of women that want to tear you down as a woman.
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think?
I think there are a lot of people out there, again, the broken record I will be, lack of their own confidence, feel like success, beauty, love, friendship is a zero-sum game. That woman can't shine and succeed, because if she does, it takes away from my ability to shine and succeed. And I don't know why some folks, and I will say it's not just women, feel that way. There is plenty of business out there.
Right.
There is plenty of beauty. There's plenty of love. There's plenty of friends. And so if you have people in your life that believe if you're shining, that their light diminishes, find new friends.
Yeah.
Just get out of there. It's toxic. I'm so lucky, fortunate to have a business partner, Maddie Kilkenny, that I brought on in 2015, 2016. And she is one of the most incredible women who loves to see other women shine, would never think someone's light burning bright diminishes hers in any way. That's the kind of people I surround myself with, because I think as women, like you're saying, we can really tear each other down. It's also men, but I think we're susceptible when it comes from other women. And I have found that lovingly saying to women like that, hey, I need to surround myself with people who help build me up, hold me accountable, but help build me up.
Yep.
You're not that person right now, so I'm going to need to kind of distance myself until you can be kind and supportive of me. I've never had a hard time drawing a line like that, and I think you have to, because otherwise they'll keep you down.
Well, for self-preservation, obviously, you definitely need to. So let's talk a little bit about lessons learned that you would like to share with other women, how they can apply them to their lives as well.
I give a lot of talks on this. It's the caveat I've started giving on the top of the PowerPoint on the big screen is I know you shouldn't have to do the things I'm about to say, but you do, so let's get into it. Because there's always a woman who will raise her hand and go, I shouldn't have to do that. I know, but we do.
Well, reality is very different.
So let's do it, right?
Exactly, yes.
So one of the things is ditch the office cardigan. As women, I know the listeners can't see the mayor right now in the coolest suit I've ever seen, but this woman looks like she runs the show. And if you see you walking in the door, I know that you're running the show. And as women, we got to suit up. We got to ditch that office cardigan. We have to dress up. And I know we shouldn't have to, but we do. Another one is we tend to apologize all the time. And I'm very grateful. I was in a meeting one time, very important meeting with some very important people. And this man I had never met before, who also turned out to be very important, crossed the room and said, hey, I know we haven't met, but you're very good at what you do. You obviously know how to carry a room. Don't apologize for doing your job. Because I had said, hey, I hate to remind you of this. I'm so sorry to remind you again. And he said, don't ever do that. You don't see men out here doing that. I was like, oh my God, you're right. So the fact that this man crossed a room to give me a professional note, don't apologize. And then every time you do, listeners, just like I had to do for him, he said, for every time you apologize in a business setting when you didn't do anything wrong, you have to send $25 to, and he named his nonprofit of choice. So I did that twice, and that was the end of that, because I haven't done it since. I haven't said I'm sorry in a meeting since. But listeners, if you apologize in a work setting, you owe the YMCA of San Diego County $25. If you have that in your head, you won't do it.
Right.
The other one that I really think is important is address your elephant. I work with men and women coming into new roles, university presidents, mayors, executives coming into a new role. And they're like, oh, it's really bothering me that everybody just assumes this. They're thinking this. And I said, well, why don't you just lead with the elephant in the room? I was working with a woman and she said, it's driving me nuts that everyone just thinks that I'm just about social justice. I'm an economist. And that's why I know it's smart to care that everyone has an ability to thrive. And I said, well, instead of us being upset about it, why don't we lead every sentence in every media interview with, as an economist? So she did that. So it's not enough to just be upset that people think, in my case, oh, you're a tiny Southerner, sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
So instead it's, hey, I'm from Nashville, I have an accent, I talk real fast, and I'm here to get you out of this crisis. Like you just address it. And I think for women, it's sometimes easier to go, oh, I just really wish they didn't see me this way. Tell them how to see you. And I think the other one for women is manage up. It goes for men too, but often women will be paired with these managers, and we know way more how to manage people often. And so we just complain about how that person doesn't know how to manage us. Tell them how to manage you. It goes for relationships too. If you're dating someone, tell them how to love you. If they're the right person for you, they're going to be open to you explaining that. And a good manager is going to be like, oh, thank you for letting me know this is how to do that work. So I think for women, those are tips that I always give. Again, they go for men too, but especially for women, going back to that confidence thing, you got to go out there and ask for it, because all these men are, and all these confident women like me are. So let's go. Let's come walk this with us and ask for what we want.
Well, and what it all leads back to really is communication. And, just sharing with, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. This is why I do what I do. Yeah. I mean, I'm a public servant,
right?
But, I also am a politician. Mm-hmm. Even though I don't like that term politician, I'm a public servant. And so my job is to explain to people why I do what I do.
Right.
And, I tell people all the time, I actually at the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, they have this whole candidate program that they run. And I've gone to speak at it several times. And I tell the people, don't stop being who you are.
That's right.
Do your job the way that you want to do it, and don't let anyone tell you how you should be doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, to really be true to yourself. And then always, again, back to your point of communication, sharing why you do what you do, and actually making sure that people understand why you do what you do.
And that is your burden.
That's
what people will say is, oh, they should just know. Why don't they know? They don't. So get out there and tell them,
right.
Hey, I'm a public servant. Let me tell you why I'm in this work. Even if they didn't ask you why you're in this work, it is your burden to carry your message. No one's going to do that for you. And I am a broken record. When people listen to me talk several times, you'll notice I'm saying a lot of the same things each time. Yeah. So that people will remember, there's that woman who's very confident that can help me be confident in that crisis. Yeah. But if I didn't say those things, you're going to come away with whatever you took. So it really is our burden as any human wishing people knew more about us, just to take that message out there.
Yeah. So Margie, what brought you to crisis management? I think that's a very interesting aspect of the business.
It is, and it takes a lot to get me to really feel like it's a real crisis. A lot of times people say crisis because when the stakes are high and you feel like your reputation is on the line, you're not thinking straight. You're not thinking straight. You are emotional. Your ego, the part of us, the ego part of every human takes over. What are people going to think about me? And as leaders, again, we can't lead from fear. We can't lead from that space. So how do we manage that crisis as a leader? It might not really be. There's kind of three levels of crisis. There's that kind of managed litigation crisis, that crisis that goes on forever. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna make sure you have the right things to say. Then there's the what I would just call, because I'm Southern, kind of the closest gator to your boat. It's happening, it's timely, but you're not really, your whole reputation is not really on the line. No one's in danger. Then there is literally, the sheriff has to put snipers on the roof to protect your people. That is a true crisis. And so I think all three of those things have been in my career in various forms kind of constant. When starting out in a gubernatorial campaign, as a public servant, every little thing you say is taken out of context and, wrapped around the axle. So there's those things. But then there's also working at the state of Tennessee, literal crises where lives are on the line. A tornado hit Jackson, that kind of thing. And then there is, when someone is saying, I'm going to make it my job to take you down. And this is my hobby. My hobby now is just to take you down. So all of those buckets are things just through my career I kept finding myself in. I didn't call myself a crisis strategist until probably 4 or 5 years ago, when it became clear to me that just my way of operating, helping people think about, well, what kind of crisis is this? Is it really all on the line? How can we manage this? It became what people just kept calling me for. And the foundation of all of it is, do I have the confidence as a leader to journey through it? I can't turn off the internet. I can't make people stop being rowdy. I can't stop identity politics. But what I can do is help give you the confidence to journey through it, to build trust and confidence through it. And it, as I look back on my career, has just always been there. I didn't go to school for crisis. I didn't have someone say, you're a crisis person now. You just kind of find yourself being this resource. And now I have so much in my head that people tend to call me just to kind of at least level set.
And take a deep breath. When something's happening, don't react.
Oh, it's
Think
so
it through.
hard.
Yeah. And that, I think, is really just being mature. Just take a deep breath. Okay. You're not going to figure this out overnight.
Right.
When there's something big that ends up happening. So, just kind of thinking about advice that you would give. You walk into a room of young women that want to be leaders. What would be the advice that you would give them?
If you want to be a leader, you have to be willing to let other people shine, to build them up. You have to surround yourself with people who can hold you accountable and build you up. The higher up you go, if you become a mayor, if you lead that university, if you're the chief marketing officer, whatever leadership means to you, it's not supposed to be lonely at the top. And what we end up doing as leaders is going, oh, well, now I know things I can't share with people, or, oh, now I don't know who to trust. And we isolate, and then we're alone. And we can't lead lonely. We can't lead out of fear, and we can't lead lonely. And so start now. If you feel like you're going to if you want to lead in the future, you really have to build up that village of trusted people. The leaders I find that struggle in a crisis, that struggle in an opportunity, they are alone at the top. And that's something you got to plan for now. Do not be alone up there.
That's really good advice. So what's next in your journey? What are you going to do next?
I just want to keep providing a workplace where people can come and do their best work and feel valued and feel human and feel like they're helping leaders in the region, leave this place better than they found it. That's a lot of time and energy. I've also got 2 kiddos of my own and 2 step kiddos. So 4 kiddos that it's a joy to love and help raise. So a lot of my time and attention is there. A lot of great work at the YMCA of San Diego County. So I would encourage anybody who wants to get involved or join or just be a part of the community well-being work we're doing. A lot of my time and attention as board chair is there. It's a joy to live and work in San Diego. I really have come to love this town. Took me a while when you move here from DC and it rains and people ask if they still want to meet because it's raining. Are you sure you want to meet?
Right?
And I'm like, yep. So it took me a while to get used to San Diego, but now it really is home. And I just want to feel like I've got hands in the business and volunteer and family communities to really leave it better than I found it.
I love it. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time, Margie.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host Rebecca Jones.